Hi, welcome to Vibin With, brought to you by Puzzles of Color.
Today we're vibing with Bryant Small. Bryant is an award-winning alcohol ink painter who lives in Jersey City and balances a social media and marketing career in New York City. Bryant has a love of culture, color, and all things sparkling. In his art, he loves to toe the line of free abstraction with vibrant color blending and pushing beyond pretty. His alcohol ink pieces are free-flowing and unpredictable and levitate from the page. Bryant is constantly creating and being inspired and sharing his work daily on Instagram. Thank you so much for joining us, Bryant.
That's a mouthful.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, levitating from the page and all that stuff.
It's fantastic. That's the marketing in you. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Flowing abstraction and flowing from the page and all that stuff. Yeah.
I love it. Marketing / copywriting / all of those things. So while, we already have met a few times, but why don't you tell the audience, the fans, a little bit about yourself? How did you get into art?
So I am Bryant Small. I started off in art. I've always been a creative since I was a kid. I was one of those creative kids that was the most talkative in class, always getting in trouble, always doing something. Um, Originally from Washington, D.C., which is a lot going on in D.C., but that's not what this video is about. But I was the kid that was like in like the gifted and talented programs, doing all of like the school plays and the assemblies and all of that stuff. Um, Always doing something creative, something creatively driven. So when people ask me when did you know you were an artist or how did you become an artist, and I always say, it's been all my life. I can't remember a time that I wasn't some type of artist, like I wasn't creative in some kind of way. My mom is also a painter, and so it's in my blood. So I've always been encouraged throughout my life to express myself in any way that I wanted. So I've always been an artist. I've always been a creative, but actively as a painter, where I would own the title, I am an artist. Started in high school, in the sense that I went to school for writing, which explains the free flowing abstraction flowing from the. I went to Duke Ellington School of the Arts in Washington, D.C. for writing and also for acting as well. So I've always felt comfortable kind of expressing myself and saying what I need to say. So I rarely get nervous about, talking about myself. That sounds so terrible. But I always say I know me better than me.
Yeah.
Nobody knows me better than me. So there's not too many questions that you can ask me that I don't know the answer to if you're asking me about me. So I've always been able to express myself. So painting is just a natural extension of that. But when it comes to alcohol ink specifically, my mother introduced me to alcohol ink. She went on an artist tour where she saw a woman with a brightly colored necklace. And if people have followed me or pay attention to my work or seen an interview or anything of the sort, they've heard this 1,000 times. But my mother saw a woman with a brightly colored necklace that was alcohol ink on dominoes. And alcohol ink works best on non porous surfaces, uh, glass, tile, metal. And the surface that I paint on is UPO paper, which is a synthetic paper where the ink does not absorb into the surface that I'm painting on. So she had a necklace on acrylic dominoes, and my mother asked her, what is that? And did the research. And shortly thereafter, my mom came to town to visit and said, "You have to try this. I think you're going to love it." And we sat down at my dining room table, and something just clicked that was different. Because I painted in acrylics before and done all this other artistic stuff. And this was unlike anything that I'd done before, and thought, I'm going to do this. And here it is years later and puzzles later. And yeah, it's just a way of life now. I can't think of a day that I'm not painting or thinking about painting or doing something related to a gallery or something, to drive my art, whether it be, at a gallery or on my website or on social media, is all just part of my natural day to day at this point.
You mentioned dominoes. Like I saw some of your pieces, kind of like a little behind you. It feels like it
Yeah.
has like a domino shape in it. Do you use dominoes to actually do some of your work, or is that just
I
accidental?
paint with everything.
Right.
So anything around me, if it's in my studio, it's likely that it has ink on it. Period. So if you don't want ink on it, don't come into my studio space. So I will paint with wine bottles, vases, shoes, flip flops,
Oh, wow.
plastic plates, cups, brake pads, bubble wrap, saran wrap, anything. There are a lot of different surfaces that I'll paint with to create shapes and
Yeah.
dimension. Um, there's sometimes that I'm painting and you get in the zone and you don't even realize, or I don't realize in that moment, that I've done something. Like
That's cool.
what, or if I go back and I'm like, what did I use to create that edge or that shape? And then I'm looking around like, gosh, because I'm literally just grabbing
Yeah.
things. Okay, I need something. I need something to create texture, and
Yeah.
I'll grab something in the moment and just use it.
Ugh.
Wow.
Like, damn it, that was my cup of juice.
Well,
So, anything.
yeah. That's crazy. I just watched Soul with my baby, and in that, was talking about like the artist that gets into the zone and they go off
Yeah.
into this separate place, and that's reminds me of that.
That's literally what it's like. And I can lose time,
Yeah.
because I'm working all day. And I always say, like, I work all day, I paint all night, and then I sleep just a little bit to keep me alive. That's
Yeah.
a little
Yeah.
to carry me over.
Yeah.
And that's really what it's like.
Yep.
That I'm like, okay, it's now 4 a.m. I have to go to sleep. I have to work at 8:30 tomorrow. I
Mm-hmm.
got to be able to function during the day.
Yep.
No, that's how it is
And
for
just
us.
a little bit of coffee to push.
There you go.
Story of my life for the last
Yeah.
how many months since October? Well, for a year basically, but
All this year,
Well, you
especially.
get it.
Like sleep is not existent anymore.
I always say, I sleep when I'm dead. Like I worry about that.
Mhm.
Just
Like
wanna
right
say it.
now, when you are in the game, like when you don't need sleep when you are excited about what's to come.
Exactly.
Like there is nothing more rewarding than seeing your dream come true.
Yeah.
When you see the work coming, when you wake up tired, eyes burning, and you see yourself on CBS.
Yeah. Yep.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
not
true.
For, several months of not sleeping and having those days where you want to cry and you want to give up and
True.
you want to just lay down and just take a nap for 6 weeks. Then you wake up the next day and you're like, wow, Gail King just gave us a shout out.
Yeah.
Like, not bad.
Yeah.
I don't have to
Exactly.
sleep for a little bit.
It might have been
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the sleep part of it is like minor. I'll worry about that later. Like it's good to have it all fit together. That is the reason. Like we all say, I do it for my heart and for the joy. And yes, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But the accolades ain't bad. To see things, the payoff, the immediate payoff is not bad.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
to have something tangible, to be able to create something tangible that people enjoy is wonderful. It's not many people to get that kind of payoff. So to have people to utilize something that you created
Mm-hmm.
is amazing.
Yeah.
To have people sending photos of these completed puzzles is a joy.
Yeah.
From this idea, from our conversations, from like these telephone calls of like, what puzzle should it be? What image is it going to be? To have people like sending you messages of like, oh, we sat down, my kids helped to make this puzzle, and to have my artwork on it. I don't take that for granted at all. From something like you guys' idea to do this, to like having my art as a puzzle for something that I never would have thought of, is like, wow, not bad.
Yeah.
To open a box and see my face in there, weird, amazing. Like this great thing.
Yeah.
So it's good. I don't need sleep for that. So I just
100%.
drink some more
That
coffee.
passion keeps you going, keeps you that drive
Yeah.
going for sure. Like it's definitely been that
It's
way for
work, but
me.
it's not work.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. You're not working when you're having fun. You're really like doing this for a living. You want to do this for your living. You want to be able to make this work. So it's not even like second nature. It's just do it. You know.
You just do it. You
Yep.
worry about the rest of it later.
Yep.
Exactly. That's totally where I'm at. So you mentioned your mother was an artist as well, or is an artist as well. So what kind of art does she do, and how's it like? How did her art influence you?
Well, she also works in alcohol ink,
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
but
there you
she
go.
paints in acrylic and she does wire work and um, she kind of does whatever kind of what hits her. But her main focus also is alcohol ink. Our styles are completely different. Um, not it's rare that you would see a painting where you could mistake my work for hers and vice versa.
Yeah.
We've even done experiments like we will choose the exact same colors at
Oh,
the
that
same
is so
time.
cool.
You choose this six, I do this six, and let's see what happens. Night and day.
Oh
We've
my
even
gosh. I have to see
um,
that. I need the side by side. That's too cool.
oh,
Yeah.
we've even thought, okay, let's start with this huge sheet and use the same colors. You do six on that end, I do six on that end, and collaborate on this large piece, and let's meet in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
They were so different that we had to cut the paper down the center because they just could not live
Right.
on the same sheet. It was so different.
Oh my
So
gosh. That
our
is
styles
too
are just
cool.
so different. So those are two independent pieces
You guys have to
now.
like do like an exhibit and
Yeah.
and
We
do like
I
have.
that.
was
Like
gonna ask
I
you.
have to see
Yeah.
that. That is
So
so cool.
we did an exhibition at the Bridge Art Gallery in Bayonne called Dreaming in Color, Mother to Son Dreaming in Color. And it was a duo exhibition where we had an exhibition of her work and my work, which was amazing to do this show. Like that's like the dream show, being
Yeah.
able to do the show with my mom, and then that show also traveled to Washington D.C., my hometown,
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
around the corner from where I grew up at the Anacostia Art Center, and that was a couple of years ago. So it's time to do that again.
So do you have siblings? Are they artists as well?
I have an older brother, and he is a what is the word? He is a, an appreciator of the art. He is a musician, but not a painter. So he's an artist in a different way. But he is a grill master. So all the artistic talent that I have, he got in the culinary arts and can cook unbelievably well. So he's mastered the culinary arts. I've mastered the art of eating all of the culinary arts. So
That's like it's just like Erica and her husband.
Yeah, yes. My husband does
I
all the
take care of all
cooking and I am just here to appreciate and he's a big
right.
griller.
Yeah,
Like he
exactly.
which I appreciate.
I
I'm
come
like
I come over just to feed his ego. Yeah, you're doing great, man.
feed
This is great.
you feed me, I feed your ego. There.
Like my dad and my brother are grill masters. I always say they need to like start like a rib business or something.
Yeah.
Like they
Hmm.
can cook anything. Like they're really great on the grill. So they can grill, I'll eat and paint.
Yep. Use the bones for to make
Right.
your art.
It's actually not a bad
That's not a
idea
bad
because the
idea.
bones will absorb ink. I might have to try
All
that.
right. Oh man.
So back to the puzzle. You've
Yes.
got this amazing piece called Haute. Let's tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about like the inspiration behind it and how you came up with the name, all of that.
So the thing is that alcohol ink is unpredictable. So when I start out with a piece, it starts with the color. It starts off with the color concept, and I don't have a lot of control over where the inks go and travel. Part true, partly not true.
Mm-hmm.
I have gotten to the point, and Halt is one of uh, the I guess the completions of this, but um, because alcohol ink is unpredictable, I don't have a lot of control but I've spent the last 2 years trying to perfect my mastery of the medium,
Mm-hmm.
making the inks do what I want them to do.
Yeah.
So Halt happens to be one of the pieces where it was an early exploration of cutting through the inks and making sharp lines and sharp movements to control the inks. So what you see in the piece is layers of ink atop of one another that I've kind of cut through and made shapes, and you're seeing the underneath layer. So you see this dark layer on the top, and then almost underneath are like these crystallized colored layers underneath. And
Yeah.
that's what creates the movement in the piece.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't thinking about what I was creating as I was doing it. It's abstract. I was just going with what felt right. But ultimately, what I saw was almost like this figure that seemed to be in this gown. And people, I try not to tell people exactly what I see.
Yeah.
That just so happens to be what I saw at the moment. I see
Mm-hmm.
different things now. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what I saw initially, and that's how it got its name. But
Gotcha.
initially, I saw this figure in this gown
Mm-hmm.
that looked like Haute Couture,
Yeah.
Which I actually,
and
now
that,
you say that, I'm like, oh, I
So,
see that.
but that's where the name came from.
Yeah.
This gown that was almost like this cape, and the arms up in the air is what I saw.
Yeah.
ooh, okay. Now I really see it.
Now, looking at it, I see different things.
Mm-hmm.
But I typically name my paintings for a moment. It may be a conversation that I'm having
Mm-hmm.
with someone. It may be the music that I'm listening to when I'm creating the painting. But I rarely name paintings for what I see in them
Yeah.
because I like people to have their own unique experience with the piece.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to create their own relationship with the work.
Yeah.
So I don't want to tell you what to see
Right.
because people have their own visions and their own connection to a piece of work. Some people may, that moment in seeing Holt may remind them of a brooch that their grandmother used to have that
Yeah.
they remember from their childhood, and
Yeah.
that's the reason why they connect with it.
Yeah.
Or they may see something from the islands when they went on a trip, 10 years ago, and that's what they connect with.
Right.
Some people may see a bird in flight, and they love birds or a flower, and that's what they connect with.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to tell people spot on what I see. So if I
Right.
ever did a painting that I saw a tree, I'm never going to call it the tree of life.
Yeah.
I
Gotcha.
want you to have your own experience with it. But for that particular piece, that's what I saw in the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just will depend. Very often, you're able to kind of understand what's going on in my life, or what I'm listening to, or what conversation I may have been having by looking at the titles of my paintings, or sometimes current events that are happening.
Yeah.
So often I'm speaking to what's happening at the moment, current events, current affairs, based on the titles of my paintings. So often that's how I'm able, when I look at a painting that I've done, I'm able to remember the moment that I created the painting, the year, the time, the date when I look at the title, and it takes me immediately back to that moment.
That's awesome. And even like you said about it, you don't want to tell what you see. You want to interpret how you want to interpret it. It's kind of how we looked at it. Because a lot when you see it now, it's mostly in horizontal, but it also be vertical, upside down. Which way is up? You don't really know which way is up with this piece. That's like what makes it really like attractive and fun to do, because like it's your interpretation of it. Whatever you want to see, you can
And when
see.
you're doing a puzzle, you're moving all around the table sometimes, so then you're seeing it in different
perspectives.
angles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's dope. That's really great.
But that's also how I tend to create. Like when I'm painting and when I'm done with a piece, I have in my mind an intention for the way that I want it to be hung,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
like in someone's home. But I've done shows at galleries and like walked in and it's hung completely in my eyes, the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then walked up to it, or as I'm walking up to it, like, no, that is absolutely perfect.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Or like, oh my gosh, why would they do that? And then after a while, it's like, no, I get it.
Yeah.
Or it's just a different vision.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different eye.
Yeah.
And I have some paintings that, depending on which way when you turn it in different ways, you get different viewpoints that all work together.
Awesome.
And I've gone back in and added different inks and different lines and different movements so that people could have a unique experience depending on which way they hang the piece. And so I leave it to the buyer. Whatever you want to do, it's yours.
Yeah.
I released it. Once the painting is done, it's gone. I released it.
Yeah.
It's gone. Whatever that experience is now yours to have.
That's like, I feel like you're very like into with the artistic side, obviously, but like, were you like, I don't know if you mentioned it before, I'm sorry, but did you go like to a university to get schooling in this art, or did you just?
No, I went to school for advertising and marketing.
Got it.
So my background is in the business side. The business side of my brain is like naturally what I kind of go to, even though my heart is all the heart of an artist.
Yeah.
Heart of an artist, mind for business. And I think that's kind of what has kept me, I don't want to say successful, because that's relative, sustained in the art world, is understanding there are two sides to it. It's not just pretty painting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
There is understanding balance, understanding what it takes to be successful as an artist, in quotes, successful, but understanding what it takes to be profitable, understanding contracts, understanding what it takes to brand, understanding the legalities, and understanding that it's a business. Art is a business.
Yeah. That's great, because like I know for a lot of most artists, it's like the opposite, because you just do it for the art, the love of the art, and then once you get in the field, you learn that there is a business side to this. And even when I went to Lamar University for just graphic design, and like you don't really have any like classes to teach you how to do the business side of work. Even in graphic design, you still have to do like it's art, but you still have a whole side of like you have to learn the business side, like even
How to build
freelancing,
people and
freelancing
invoices, for sure.
And of course, all that stuff is like very
Taxes.
important. And if you want to like be successful, make a living off of your work, you need to know these type of things. So I always feel like they should push like more of that in our classes, and like they're learning in school, just because it's like art. You could be an artist and really good at your painting, but if you don't really know your business side, you could be like just a struggling artist for no reason. You could be the best art in the world, but you don't know how to be successful out of it, make money off of it.
It's so difficult, and it's almost like it's ingrained in you to not sell out.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You be an artist, like don't sell out. Like it's not selling out if I make money off my art. Like this is as much money as you put out as an artist, you have to make your money back. Like if you want to be a working artist, you kind of have to think about the return on your investment.
Yeah, and art ain't cheap.
At the end of the day, art ain't cheap. And people, why is that painting so expensive? And that's what their natural instinct is to complain about the price, but they don't think about the hours of time that an artist has put in creating.
Yep.
And I always say an artist is working and painting for hours before they touch their canvas. For hours, they are thinking about the colors and what they might want to do, the inspiration, the disappointments, the successes, the joy, the pain, the love, all of that stuff you bring to the table when you're creating.
Yeah.
That's all part of your process. That's part of what you're paying for, that story that you want to talk to the artist about, and the reason why they create. That's part of the pricing.
Yeah.
And then when they have to go to the art supply store or deal with the negotiation for trying to get the best price for framing
Yeah.
and everything else.
Yeah.
That's the part that people don't consider for the artists when they have to get their things shipped out into a gallery and everything else. All of that is a cost that's attributed to the artist and the commission for galleries and everything else. A lot of people don't understand for an artist is that when they go to a gallery, often the gallery, the commission may be 50%. So it may be on the
Wow.
wall for $10,000,
Right.
Yeah.
but the artist is only going to see 5,000 of that
Yeah.
Yeah.
because the gallery has to make their money. Art is a business.
Yeah.
That's pretty
So you
taxes.
think as many times that people are in the gallery, they're looking and they're browsing, but that gallery has to stay open. The
Yeah.
lights have to stay on.
Yeah.
So they are reaching out to their clients and trying to negotiate and get people to come in and buyers. So, and as an artist, I support galleries. So I want my work to be seen in well-known establishments. And so it's all part of it.
Yeah.
And it's business.
Yeah. Wow.
So, but that's it. So that's why it's important to pay people what they're worth,
Yeah.
and understand that it is an investment, but you're supporting a full system of people. You're supporting the artist directly, but you're supporting the gallery owners, the people that the art consultants, the everyone that works in that gallery, the storage, the art storage people that work in that gallery to make sure that it's stored properly, the installers, the hangers, the art handlers. It's all part of it.
Yeah.
Lots of moving parts there.
It's a lot of moving parts. And so when you see that price tag on the wall, it's not just people being divas and being greedy. That's what it takes to be part of, the art business.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so important to have a product like the puzzles.
Yeah.
Because it then makes art approachable for people that aren't in the market at that price point. To be able to say, I still have fine art that I am able to interact with my children, expose them to, contemporary art and fine art in a new way and make them fall in love with art and explore art and artists of color and still have fun with it. So,
Wow.
full circle moment.
That's a great
I am
plug.
back.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use that. We're gonna cut that segment out. That's beautiful, man.
So we had one question which I feel like you touched on, but like we were talking when you think about abstract art, there are people who will see something and be like, I could do that at home. My mom is good for that. She's like, I can do that. We can buy all these pieces and I'm gonna do. So what makes the difference between art and like a hobby or
Right.
just what makes it unique?
So it's a couple things. The first thing that always cracks me up is when people say, I can do that. When it comes to abstract art. Danny Simmons at Rush Arts Philly has an abstract show in Philadelphia at Rush Arts Philly Gallery, which is an amazing gallery that supports the Philadelphia art market and art market at large. He has a show that is called I Can Do That. I Can Do That. That is committed to abstract artists that shows pieces that are abstract, and the tagline is like, I can do that. When people say that, if you could, you would have.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, like, I can do that. Like, then go ahead. If you could, you would have done that already.
Yeah.
Abstract art is about emotion. It is about movement and passion. A lot of people think that abstract art is just a slash on a painting, like just a slash of ink, a slash of paint, and it's not. It is so much more than that. If you've ever tried to do abstract art, you will know that it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
You will come out with something colorful,
Yeah.
but it is not going to have any meaning for it, any meaning behind it, any passion behind it. I don't go into creating anything thinking I'm going to do something abstract.
Yeah.
I'm not even thinking about what what type of art I'm creating. I'm just creating because
Yeah.
I love to do it. So if it so happens that you see a face, you see a figure, that's wonderful. But I'm not even thinking about making a mark on the paper, on the page, because I want you to feel something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing it because it feels right for it to be there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it because I want to push you in a direction.
Yeah.
I'm doing it because I want to push the work. I know
Uh,
what feels right in that moment, what that piece needs.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the needs of the work at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if it moves you because I have been moved in that moment in the work, then I know I've done my job. That
yeah.
I always am working to get people in the moment when they are looking at my work and they're standing at a gallery with their head tilted one way or the other, like, "Ooh, what is that?"
Yeah.
And they're standing back and they're with their arms folded, squinting, and one of their legs goes forward to take one step forward, and they do like that.
Yeah.
If they do that, I know that I've done my job. That one step forward and that lean in to say, "What is that?"
Yeah.
That means I got you. That's what abstract art is supposed to do,
Wow.
is to
Mm-hmm.
draw you in,
Yeah.
to pull you in closer to say, "What is that?" And
Mm-hmm.
from across the room, I could say, "What is that red circle? That's not art. You lost.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's not art."
Yeah.
But if I'm making you question and I'm striking a chord with you, like, "Oh my gosh, that's beautiful," or even if that repulses you, "Oh, that is terrible." But you walk closer and say, "What in the world were they thinking?" That's art.
Yeah.
It evoked an emotion from you.
Mm-hmm.
That is exactly what an artist wants from you.
Wow.
Is that even if you don't like it, you came closer to say, "The hell were they thinking?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it's enough. Then I would much rather you have some reaction to it to say than to say, "Oh, it's nice."
Yeah.
yeah. This looks pretty, but yeah. Okay, I
Yeah,
see what you're
it's
saying.
nice.
Mm-hmm.
And the or, "Oh, it's pretty."
Yeah.
Pretty is almost a curse in a lot of ways because pretty is like, it's pretty. So that's why in my bio I say I'm trying to get beyond just pretty pictures.
Yeah.
I'm
Pretty
always trying to
hurts.
push beyond pretty. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get beyond pretty. Like, yeah, I want it to be pretty.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to love it. I want it to be pretty,
Yeah.
but I want to get beyond that. I want you to get to the point that you feel something from it.
Mm-hmm.
May not be the greatest feeling. It might make you a little sad. It may remind you of your last boyfriend, the breakup.
Mm-hmm.
But it may remind you of that moment you felt better and empowered and like, "Oh no, I felt strong. I
Yeah.
felt good after that. Like I learned something."
Yeah.
Or it might make you feel like, "Yeah, I'm so glad I quit that job.
yeah.
I took a risk. I did whatever." But that's what most artists want, is they want you to feel something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, because art is definitely about a
Did that
feeling.
answer the question? Did I answer it?
Absolutely.
Definitely answered the question. It's like art itself is a feeling, and so you want to, as an artist, you're trying to push. Yeah, not trying to push your agenda or anything in particular, like with your abstract art. You're just trying to like make you feel an emotion from it, and make you feel like you said, even when you name your pieces, you say it's like a time of your life or a moment of music, something you're listening to, something around you that really like captures you in that moment. So that's exactly what abstract art is. That's what your art does.
Yeah, I mean, it's even if it were like someone doing realism,
Yeah.
seeing a portrait, if it's an exact portrait of someone, they want you to say, "Oh my gosh, you really captured their spirit."
Exactly.
It's like, "Oh, that looks exactly like them," but gosh, his eyes.
Yeah.
Her eyes, like, "Oh my gosh, it's like she's sitting right here."
Yeah.
That's the thing that we look at when you look at someone's portrait. It's like if they get their likeness, you're like, "Oh yeah, that looks like them." but it is something deeper when you see a portrait and you can feel them in the painting.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
they capture someone's essence, sometimes the painting doesn't even have to look like them exactly.
Right.
But if they capture them in the best way, them sitting in a chair, in their favorite chair, or they capture them from a photo, like a family photo or something, and you remember the moment that that photo was taken, or it's a photo that's been in the family forever. If they capture your grandmother in the right way, in that essence, when you see it, you could burst into tears
Yeah.
because it captured the essence of that person.
Yeah.
Not
Exactly.
it doesn't even have to look like them, but if they capture the energy and the essence of that person, that's what gets you. That's what art is supposed to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to look exactly like them. It's the same thing in the puzzles when you see the puzzles with the little kids in them, the little boys in them. You're like, oh no, every dad and kid needs to have it.
Yeah.
They have to have that moment. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, come on. That's the heartstring stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the
Definitely.
feeling. It's the feeling stuff that gets you going.
So you talked about your process when you're creating. You're listening to music, and that's actually the motivation behind a lot of your stuff. What music inspires you overall? Is it a mix? Is it like something that gets you started?
Okay. So there's some rules. I have to have music. So
Okay.
there's a couple things. Typically, I paint almost every day. If I'm home, I'm pretty much painting. Or because I have a studio at home and I also have an outside studio at Mana Contemporary. If I'm in my studio, there's my headphones on. There's music always. If I'm at home, I'm typically, depending on the night, I'm FaceTiming with my mom, and we are painting at the same time. And I will be playing music, or she will be playing music. And usually there's some type of tension around the music being played. And it's simply because I like upbeat house,
Ah.
something dance, hip hop music that typically won't have a lot of words, or if it does have words, it's something that I'm singing along to or dancing erratically to while I am painting.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the zone. I need movement. Whereas my mother, on the other hand, is listening to, it is the oddest thing. She could be listening to like old school, like Jeffrey Osborne. Not that there's anything wrong with Jeffrey Osborne. It's just that I don't want to be painting to Will Downing and Jeffrey Osborne, Luther Vandross, like old school crooners.
I can
And
see
it's
that.
not-
Well,
it
you
is
say that you have different
nothing-
styles too, so that it's
That's part of it.
yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with listening to like Vesta and Stephanie Mills, old school music. That's just not the vibe of what I'm painting.
Yeah.
And so we usually are like, I'm like, what are you listening to? Like, we need to get somewhere and like somehow let's get some neo soul. Let's get Jill Scott. Let's get some Angie Stone something. And she, of course, just chimed in to FaceTime me. Yeah. I actually
That's
shut out
great.
of
She heard you
FaceTime.
talking. She was like, "I'm gonna explain my Will Down."
That is so crazy. I closed out of FaceTime, shut it down, removed it from my dock, everything, and she still popped in.
That's what that's mama.
She heard me.
Exactly.
She's probably going to call back again and say, "I will not be ignored," which will do. But yeah, she will turn on that music, and I will say, "Can we get some Jill Scott? Can we get some Angie Stone? Something more R&B current that we can agree to?" Or she'll like, "Well, you turn on the music, you decide the music, and we'll go from there, and then we're fine."
Yeah.
But music for me, I do have a couple playlists. So I have one playlist that's called Big Beautiful Crazy, which was the name of my first solo show because I've had a big, beautiful, crazy life.
Yeah.
Um, Stuff that like people are like, you need to write a book. And, like I've had some big, beautiful, crazy stuff happen in my life that like no one would ever believe, this stuff that would just be in like a movie.
Yeah.
So that's what I named the show, and that's what that playlist is called.
Mm-hmm.
So I will
Like that.
turn that on to paint to. Then I have another playlist called Free to Fly, which was my second show, which is another playlist, but that playlist has a lot of house. It has a lot of dance music, but it also has some go-go music from DC.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That kind of takes me back to like home
Yeah.
references.
Yeah.
And then I just have random my star playlist on Spotify, and my star playlist will have things from different stations that I've turned on at different times. So that station may have some random pop Ariana Grande, some Britney Spears, but then it'll turn to like some African house beats
Yeah.
that will pop in also. It's some interesting stuff, but it's always stuff that gets me in that frame of mind to paint. Where if I hear that music somewhere else out of context, I'm like, oh, I gotta get home. Like if I were out and about,
Yeah.
it would be like, yeah, time to paint. But
Yeah.
it's like that reference. Like if I heard that song, time to go. Gotta go. Gotta paint.
That's awesome.
It could be a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But it's never. I don't paint to classical music. I don't paint to anything slow tempo, and I listen to everything.
Yeah.
But when I'm painting, it is never, and love her, it's
Mozart.
never going to be Sade. It's never going to be it's rarely going to be anything jazz unless it is a up-tempo jazz remix of something.
So you mentioned like DC and the go-go music. I feel like that's the only region that really listens to go-go music that is well known for. Is there a particular reason behind that? I'm just wondering.
I don't know why it's limited to DC. I mean, I've heard DC. Like, I have cousins that like live in a small town called Edenborn, Pennsylvania, which is in the southwestern part of Pennsylvania, over the mountains of West Virginia, and they love go-go music from being exposed to it in DC.
Yeah.
There are a few people that I know that are in Miami that like go-go music from being exposed to it in DC.
Mm-hmm.
But their exposure comes from like two live crew utilizing the beats from go-go music.
Yeah.
And then I know people in New Orleans that like go-go music because some of like the booty music uses the beats from go-go music. So it's like it's heavy percussion music.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think if we all go back to African drums.
Yeah, I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of like Fela.
So, yeah. So if you think about that, we go to like Latin music, Cuban music, it goes to the drums.
Yeah.
We go to if you think about like the booty music in New Orleans, it goes to the drums. You go to reggae music, it goes back to the drums, and like everything goes back to the percussion.
Yeah.
So I think it is just the flavor of all of our music goes back to our roots.
Yep.
I like that.
So,
That's dope.
But I don't know why it stops at DC.
Yeah, I feel like it's like every time I hear something about DC artists and they mention like the influence of go-go and like if they're from DC, it's like I guess that's
well, it's just kind of like I guess like New Orleans, like you said, with the booty music in New Orleans. It's like everybody's got their that's their regional thing.
Yeah.
Like Houston's all chopped and screwed. Even that's
trap music, chopped and screwed from Houston.
It's the same thing. It's like when I go home to DC and I hear it, I'm like, damn, I'm home. And then
Exactly.
I never hear it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And
Yeah.
I don't have to hear it here. It
Right.
would seem out of place.
Yeah.
But as soon as I go home and I hear that you could hear it on the
Right.
radio, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
good to hear it.
That's dope. I get that. I get that.
When you look at Hot,
Yeah.
that particular piece, what song, what can you remember? What song you might have been listening to when you were doing that? Or what song comes to mind when you see it now?
Well, I know that I can tell you the moment that I did it. I was in my studio at Mana Contemporary,
Mm-hmm.
and that was last January, that a year ago, and that was actually the last 11 by 14 piece that I did. I no longer do that size painting
Yeah.
anymore, and that was literally the last piece of paper that I had in. I was like, all right, this is the last one.
Like the grand
Um,
finale.
Yeah.
That was legit the last one. I'm sure if I was at Mana, I had my headphones on and I would have been listening to my starred playlist. I can't tell you the song because I don't remember the song, but I'm sure it was my starred playlist, which would have been, it could have been, it would have been something house or something pop. It could have
Got it.
been, like I said, it could have been Ariana Grande or Britney Spears, or it could have been a remix of something.
Yeah.
But it would have been that star playlist,
Okay.
which is my favorite songs that have popped up from different stations that I just add. Like, oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Add it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Add it. And right now, I think that has like 30 something hours of music.
Oh,
Wow.
So more than
Whoa.
I listen to music more than anything. I rarely sit down and watch a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So in my house, there's always music playing. If the television is on, it might not be turned up.
Yeah.
I'll watch the news for several. I've been watching the news more now than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
But I don't watch, right. I don't watch movies often, but I will listen to music all the time.
Eric and I both listen to music like constantly. That's kind of what we.
Yeah. Well, of course, like you said, lately a little bit less. You know, a lot of podcasts and news, but
Yeah.
but
I'm trying to get into podcasters. I'm trying to get more to listening to more podcasts, but I definitely think if I'm like at work, I'm definitely listening to like anything like hip hop related mostly. But you know, music is always playing, and just like
it helps
like
you
say,
to get
it's a soundtrack.
the
Like, at end of
daytime.
day,
Yeah, for sure.
it's a soundtrack to what you
Yeah,
do in
you
that
know, I
situation.
realized on that star playlist there are a few gospel songs too,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and they're random, like random things. I know that like that what popped into my head that made me think about that. I know there's Mary Mary's "Dirt" that's on there.
Mm-hmm.
The song "Dirt." There is "Joy to the World."
Hey.
All year long.
By who's Joy to the World?
Is it Darlene McCoy? Is that her name?
Okay.
Erica judging you.
Well, no, I was
Who's
gonna
it?
say
Yeah.
because my favorite gospel album is not even a gospel. It is the Preacher's Wife soundtrack. Like if I'm having a bad day, let me put on the Preacher's Wife soundtrack and listen to some Whitney Houston.
It's a couple like, and they are my jams like that. I will turn on,
Yeah.
and it'll come on, and it's still part of the party.
Yeah.
So it doesn't break the rhythm of painting or anything, but they
Yeah.
just happen to be
Yeah.
gospel songs. So that it's a little bit of everything on that playlist.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And then there are jazz songs on there, and there's a song called Barack's Groove, and I can't remember who the artist is right now. It might be, gosh, I lost his name. Just as I was Stanley Clark, I think it might be.
Okay.
But the song is called Barack's Groove, and
Okay.
it is.
Like that.
Yeah.
It was from Barack Obama, but look it up.
Yeah, we'll
And
definitely have to look that up.
That was something that I actually could have been listening to Haute when I was doing it. But it was called Barack's Groove, and I listened to that on repeat.
Okay.
Well, definitely need you to
During
send
the
this
residency.
playlist to
That was a
us.
huge residency song for me.
Yeah. So where do you have this playlist? Is it like on like, is it just like Apple Music or like what is it?
That's on Spotify. But you know what I will do? I will create a playlist of like some of my favorites,
Okay.
and I will give it some name like puzzle playlist or something like that.
There you go.
And I will
Look, that's what we're trying to do. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
we're
make
actually
it
doing that.
public on Spotify so that people can follow the playlist and listen to what I paint to.
Cool.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna have a playlist for every artist and for every puzzle, and we're gonna have it like attached to the,
Oh, okay.
So
So
we're
now
already-
that changes the energy of it a little bit, but they will all be songs that come from one of those 3 playlists.
Cool.
Yeah, it's dope. Yeah, it's perfect.
But I'll make sure that Barack's Groove is on there. It won't
I
fit
mean-
the Haute playlist per se, but I'm gonna put it on there.
Okay,
Awesome.
that's dope. That's about it. I thank you for vibing with us, man. We get to really learn more about you and your, of course, your musical taste, which is what we are here for. And
Yeah.
just, this is great.
Ooh.
Great to hear all of the amazing things you've got going on. And actually, yeah, speaking of, please share, how can people follow you? How
Yeah.
can people commission or, whatever, reach out to you, please?
So, on everything, on Instagram, on my Facebook page, on Twitter, it is bfly777. My website, www.bfly777.com. And you can reach me everywhere with bfly777.
That's dope.
You can follow me on TikTok, but TikTok, you'll see my art in the background, but you'll see me playing around in makeup and weird videos and movies, and that's me just cutting up and having fun. Most of the time, you'll see art in there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because I can't help myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's all an extension.
It's your life.
of
You breathe art.
Yeah. It's one of the few times that you will see me just having fun, because the other stuff is so brand centric and focused on the art that it's one of the few times you'll get to see me as a person and not a brand.
Yeah.
I feel you.
And you guys, congratulations. I say it all the time. I am so proud of you guys in the way that you had an idea and made it happen. I am so happy that you reached out to me. I have never done a product with anyone before, never even considered it. And I am so happy that we worked together. This has been so amazing. And I can't wait to see what else happens, because it's all good stuff.
Thank you
We
so
appreciate
much.
it. We've done so. It's gone way further than we thought it would be. It's a bit limited by the time we've done it, and it's like we're like we were talking about the other day. It's like we were just so surprised artists were actually willing to do it. Like, we were very nervous about approaching artists in a way that, like, we didn't want to come off like we're trying to just steal your art, for sure. That's one thing we didn't want to do, and also just wanted to make sure y'all got the recognition and the appreciation for the actual work that y'all put in, and of course the money from us making money off of y'all's art. I guess say it like that, but it just it's
working. It's working.
Yeah.
We appreciate that y'all were willing to, or you and everybody was willing to be a part of it, because it's working.
It's been life changing. It's been amazing.
Also, I forgot. How did it feel when you actually saw your puzzle? Like, how did it feel to actually get the puzzle, and how did it feel to see it and all that?
So this is the other thing. It was cool. I didn't order it immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is great. And I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to order them and give them as Christmas gifts to everyone. And then I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. That seems a little self-serving.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that. And so I didn't. And I did a couple posts like, oh, guys, this is a puzzle that I did with this company, and this is great, and you guys should check them out. And then people started to buy the puzzle. And then, not that I didn't expect this reaction, but I didn't expect this big of a reaction like, oh my God, you did a puzzle? This is great.
Yeah.
And then it kept happening. I was like, you know what? I'm going to order a puzzle. I should at least have a puzzle of my own.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to do the puzzle. I just want to have it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so I ordered the puzzle, and I had it in the box, and it sat there. I'm just like, I'm not gonna, I know that it's there. I'm like, well, I need to see it.
We send you an empty box.
I'm like, I need to see it. And
Yeah.
then my friends started ordering multiple puzzles and giving them out as gifts and everything. And when I opened the puzzle, I was kind of taken aback. Like,
Yeah.
my God. When I recorded the video, that was
Yeah.
literally my real reaction. Like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
Like, blown away. Like, and then I was like, wait a second. I am inside this box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my face is inside this box on a product. This is like kid dream stuff.
Yeah.
Like being on like a G.I. Joe or Barbie box.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a Barbie. Like,
Yeah.
look like
Yeah.
that kind of, that was the reaction, the feeling of it. Like, I am a toy.
Yeah.
This is really, really cool that, like, the idea that this could be so big that what if you end up on the aisles in Target and Walmart?
Look, from your mouth to God's ears, that's
But you
Yeah.
have to dream a bigger dream for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So why is that not possible when you wake up and you're on CBS this morning?
yeah.
And so, like, to see the box, I was really taken, like, wow, how cool is this?
Yeah.
And didn't expect to have that reaction. It's like, no, I need to, like, talk about this.
Yeah.
So I
Well-
can't imagine what that feels like for you guys. I can't imagine.
It's
And how proud your
mind-blowing.
mom must be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Like,
mind blowing. I can't wait till we get caught up so that we can like really enjoy it. Because right now we're just working
Yeah.
like crazy.
Yeah.
But I definitely I'm off this week because I work a day job, and so I'm off this
Yeah.
week. So I'm getting to like really just live in it, and that's amazing. And we got a lot of retailers reaching out. So maybe one day, hopefully Target, and
Yeah.
that would be amazing. But we had a store in Japan, like multiple store, like somebody who owns like multiple stores in Japan that wants to get some puzzles there. We've had from all over the country and Singapore. So
It's wild.
All I know, I can tell you, it is working.
yeah,
Because people have reached out saying, hey, are you interested in doing a series of puzzles? I'm like, I already work with people. Don't try to reach out now, boo. Don't try to copy. We already got my people. I don't need you. I got my people.
Yes, sir.
That's how you know
yeah,
that it's working.
yeah,
Because people are watching.
yeah,
When people start watching, you know that it's working.
yeah,
Like, keep your head down, you stay focused, and keep working.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
so amazing.
This is
So
great.
good. It's so good.
Thank you so much for joining us on Vibing With, and be sure to follow Bryant on all of his social media platforms and buy his puzzle Haute. Thank you for joining us for an episode of Vibing With. Be sure to purchase a puzzle by this talented artist at puzzlesofcolor.com. You can also listen to a curated playlist of music to pair with their puzzle on Spotify and Apple Music. Just search for Puzzles of Color.